This is the first full day of the campaign. You've been vocally against this pandemic election. You said it's unnecessary, selfish, and dangerous. Mr. Singh, 10 months ago, you were openly campaigning in British Columbia alongside the now Premier, the NDP colleague, John Horgan. The pandemic was in full flight there. He also had a deal with the Green Party to govern. He had the confidence of the legislature. Why was it okay for you to campaign with an NDP leader, but suddenly when it's the federal election, it's dangerous and you shouldn't do it?
Well, there's a couple of differences. One, we've got 2 years left. Canadians elected us for a 4-year mandate. We've got 2 years left on that mandate. Justin Trudeau said a lot of things that he wanted to do. Well, if he wants to do them, we know that New Democrats have been able to deliver the help that people need, and we've been able to get things done. And so what's the reason for this election? There's no real scenario that requires an election. There isn't a change in the House that means that there is a need for this, other than the pursuit of power. It's very different when elections were called in other provinces. Scenarios are very different. In this case, 2 years left on our mandate, Justin Trudeau claiming he wants to do more for people. I call him out on that. Let's do those things.
But
or was it all just for show, and this is really just a power grab?
Yeah, to be fair, Mr. Horgan could have governed for a much longer time with the Greens. The Greens said it was a power grab. The Greens said at the time it was selfish. The scenarios are actually very similar. Again, I'll just press back on you because this is defining part of the campaign. Why should Canadians believe that you're truly against this one when you had no problem supporting a pandemic trip to the polls in BC? Like, if it's good for the goose, why not for the gander?
You know it's very different. You know that in Mr. Horgan's case, Premier Horgan's case, it was 3.5 years into his mandate, only 6 months left. And in this case, it's 2 years left. And you know that's very different. And it's very clear that right now the priority should be for Justin Trudeau to deliver the help that he claims he wants to do. New Democrats believe in that. We believe in getting the help to people. We also know that a federal election is very different. That's going to require us traveling across the country in every province. Being across the country is obviously a lot different than being in one province only. So there's a significant difference. And really, at the end of the day, my call is, if we want to get help to people, if that's the goal, shouldn't we just be spending our time in Ottawa getting that work done? Why is Justin Trudeau calling this election? He says it's to listen to people. Well, did he listen to people when they said Indigenous people should have clean drinking water? Did he listen to people who say that we need universal pharmacare? Did he listen to people who said we need to make sure the ultra-rich pay their fair share? No, he didn't listen to people then. What says he's going to listen to people now?
Okay, well, let me ask you, look, because I don't know what, politicians listen to certain people, I guess. You know that. Not everyone gets 100%. But Mr. Singh, what do you make of Mr. Trudeau's rationale? He said in 2019, we never had a mandate to run up deficits of $350 billion. We never got a mandate to spend another $100 billion on anything from this child care plan. None of that was in the mandate in 2019. His argument is people have an opportunity now to say, you still want us to lead the pandemic and the recovery? If not, boot us out. What's wrong with exercising the democratic franchise?
Well, it really comes down to, is Justin Trudeau really interested in listening to people? And I've laid out a number of things that people have asked for. People have said really clearly the vast majority of Canadians, it's not just a minority, the vast majority of Canadians agree with universal pharmacare, agree with taxing the ultra-rich, agree that profits should be removed from long-term care. On each of these key points that really speak to what people are going through, Justin Trudeau has ignored them and not delivered on any of those things. People also believe that this is the wrong time to have an election. The vast majority of Canadians say that that's their position. So it doesn't really make sense for him to claim on one hand that he's interested in hearing from Canadians when we know very clearly what Canadians want on a number of key points, and he's just disregarded their interests and their desires and what they want. So to me, it really begs the question, is this about listening to people, or is this solely a power grab? I think the evidence is in front of us. There is no interest on the part of Justin Trudeau to hear from people when he's ignored them on so many key things.
Mr. Singh, I just want to dig in a bit on the substance of your platform, including taxing the super rich, luxury goods, things like yachts, and obviously people with net worth over now $10 million. They will impose a 1% tax on that. I understand that. Today you also talked about rolling back support for corporations that used public support to pay dividends, for example, to shareholders or bonuses. How exactly would that work? Would they have to give back all the money they've accepted so far? How does that actually work?
Well, it's really interesting because right now Justin Trudeau is trying to claw back money. but he's clawing back money from seniors who receive GIS. He's cutting help to people that relied on the CRB by $800 a month. So instead of that approach, I would say the letter should be sent to these companies that we know, hundreds of Canadian companies that took millions of public dollars and ended up turning around and paying out dividends to their shareholders. And the reason why that is so offensive is because the underlying reason to obtain public support was because these companies were not actually making enough money or they were facing a loss of revenue. If they can turn around and pay out dividends to the shareholders, clearly they were profitable and they should not have been receiving public money. We also know of companies that cut workers, laid off workers, and that was never the goal of this support. So companies that abuse the system, misuse the system, should be forced to reimburse.
I know you got a plane to catch because it's a campaign. And you're going out to BC. You're obviously you're around the Toronto, Mississauga area where you need to get seats. You're in Quebec where you only have one seat. So there's a lot of work to do in the campaign. But now the issue of Afghanistan is a huge issue. We've got many Canadians who want to bring home Afghan interpreters and their families who are very much in danger, imperiled by the Taliban who have taken over. Quickly, do you think Canada should send in military troops to help try to evacuate some Afghans who should be coming to Canada to save their lives? What's your view on what Canada should do right now?
First off, Evan, as you outlined, this is a really horrible situation. We've seen some really chilling and disturbing images of people fleeing the Taliban. It's very scary, and a lot of people's lives are on the line. And particularly when it comes to our allies, people that put their life at risk to support our forces and our troops, these allies, translators and other ground support, they should be evacuated. We should be doing whatever we can to support them. I think Canada needs to work with allies and find out better ways to, right now, in this immediate emergency, find ways to evacuate these allies that have put their lives at risk for Canadians, for Canadian troops. We need to be there for our allies.